once it starts. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the show. So we're trying again here. We were having some technical difficulties and we're doing our best to work around them. So thank you so much everybody for being patient. So in order to do this, again, let's just start over again. So good morning and welcome to the show. This is the JRV Morning Show and I'm your host, J. Richard Varvel. And I have a special guest here, Patti Leppo. I'm super excited to have you here with us this morning.
Thank you for asking me to be on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us and thank you for being willing to come on, as well as being so flexible this morning as we're working through some things.
That's life.
Yes, well, we're live now, and so good morning everybody. Thank you for joining us live. Good morning, Dylan. He says good morning, Jay and Patti. Right back at you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. So we're here in Patti's office, and Patti does Reiki therapy sessions as well as quantum healing sessions, which is in the realm of hypnotherapy. So I would like you to start talking about how you got involved in Dolores Cannon's work into the quantum healing work, and what that has been like and where that's led you.
Okay, so originally I was interested in past life regression years ago. I really don't know why it wasn't part of my childhood, so it was just something I was just fascinated with. I read books by Brian Weiss and others, and I found a book by Dolores Cannon, and she does something called quantum healing hypnosis technique, or QHHT. And what past life regression is, I should go into that, is the belief that whatever traumas or patterns, different things that we've experienced in past lives, we've carried into this life. And
totally. So
it can be relationship patterns, it could be issues with money, it could be issues with health, and many times people won't understand why they've had such extreme experiences in these different areas, and so it's
true, like why the cycles keep happening to them.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so what they've found is many times it goes back to past lives, and it's something that they've carried into this. So
it makes sense. I mean, and that is something that came up in my session.
Right.
We went to a past life, and it definitely was interesting, the different themes that came up in that life that were affecting me in this current life. I'm not going to get into details, but just because it's something that I'm still working through personally myself, but I feel like it is important to share how it works, and it's a bit outside, for sure, outside of our logical thinking mind.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was truly tremendous to be able to go into some of those deeper spaces. And to have that experience and to go back to another lifetime and see it, and to be able to look at it in this way. Right. It's not just to go back to it, just to go back to it, but there's a purpose, there's a reason. And,
right, and when you're there, you feel you're fully embodying that person, and some people go so deep that they're not even aware of this lifetime, you know, and you embody them and you feel the feelings that they're feeling, and it's just amazing, like the intense emotions that you can feel that were from that person, that you in that lifetime, you know.
And from my own experience, I absolutely felt that.
Right.
Where it really does transport you into that whole world, into that. It's like I feel it's like going into that vibration. Like you really go into that whole energetic of that lifetime, and to feel into it. And it's pretty intense. So I want to just take a quick moment to say good morning, Vicki. Welcome to the show. She says good morning, Jay and Patti.
Good morning,
and
Vicki.
I know that Stan joined as well. Good morning, Stan. And he says good morning. So thank you guys for joining us so much live. And so with this flow, with what you were learning, if you don't mind, just like kind of touching on how it personally affected you.
Okay, but I want to say something.
Oh yeah, please, yes.
What I found, what I have loved, I love all the sessions, and no two sessions are the same. But people with Jay's gifts, they tend to have very vivid sessions, and they can see so well. people that are more left brain and analytical, it's harder for them to visualize, but people with your gifts, you see it so clearly. And then at the end, with all the questions that you have, I've been told by someone who has psychic gifts that it takes away the filter, any type of filter you would have between you and your guides with all the questions, and you just have a clear, open stream of wisdom that comes through, which I feel that happened with you.
Yes, because it's like, for me, how I feel it, it's like I have an edit sometimes. And it has been, sometimes felt my edit like on my throat, like just kind of like sitting right here, hanging out, really making me be overly aware, overly cautious of what I'm saying, and having to disseminate and go through that edit in order to tune into my guidance. So it's true, like having that removed, and I've done so much of that work in my conscious life, but to have it that much more removed in this way is a tremendous experience.
Clear as though they're just sitting there with you, answering all your questions. And so it's anyone that has had a successful session with me. I say there are only 2 more left brain people that weren't able to experience it, and there are techniques and meditations. If anyone is interested, I could email them to them to do on their own to prepare their right brain.
That's awesome.
So I'm naturally a skeptic, and I'm not the type to just believe anything. So that's why I read a lot. I like a lot of research. And what convinced me as far as doing this work were all of the stories that I read. Dolores Cannon began doing hypnosis in the 60s. She was a stay-at-home mom. And she just started helping people with weight loss and smoking. And someone was sent to her who had depression and other issues. And she asked them to go to the root of their issues. And they went into a past life. And
fascinating how that works.
Yeah, and she was a flapper. In the flapper area, I think that was the roaring 20s.
20s, yeah.
And they were all just amazed because past life wasn't discussed then, you know, in our culture, maybe in other countries, but
it's still, I mean, talk about it's still new now, I think, for a lot of people. So, I mean,
exactly.
Back
Probably
then,
a lot of people that will watch this will absolutely not believe in it, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, we're not here to convince anybody for sure, but we're absolutely here to share in the experience and what we've experienced, and especially from your perspective as a practitioner, and getting to see multiple people in this state, and what that has allowed for them.
It's been amazing for they've all been amazed by the process, and it's helped them so much. So back to Dolores, she ended up writing her first book based on this woman. It's called 5 Lives Remembered, and she wrote 17 books. I admire her greatly because she was a pioneer back when this just wasn't done, and
it's true. I mean,
she's very courageous, and it took her 30 years to develop the script that I use, and the last 10 years of her life she toured the world teaching, and she's someone to really admire. And she passed away a few years ago in her 80s, so I thought that was interesting. And another famous past life regressionist that I love, I read a few of his books. His name is Dr. Brian Weiss, and the same thing happened with him. He was a psychiatrist, and he was working with a woman who had similar issues. He used hypnosis, and she ended up in a past life. And he's like, what is this?
Because, I love how the conventional folks are like having these unconventional.
Exactly. And he is highly educated. He had his doctorate, and he wasn't taught about past lives. He had a traditional Christian conservative background.
So I'm sure it really caught him off guard, having this whole experience.
But the more sessions he had with her, the more lives she would go to, and her emotional state was, she was a completely different person after all of this. And he was such a believer in it that now he's famous, and he's still alive.
That's awesome that he's still doing it.
He's written several books also, and he's toured the world, and so people there's another past life regressionist who in town that I really like. Her name is Nina Manny. I've had amazing sessions with her, and she prefers Brian Weiss's style. So if you wanted to try his technique, she's a great person to use.
Well, it's great to hear that there are options and different ways. I mean, it's like the healing world in general. There are so many different ways in which to experience these healing energies. And how I see it personally is really having these very deep, meaningful experiences with ourselves deep within. I feel like it's going in. It's not about going anywhere out of us. Sometimes we feel like we're being transported out of us, but the truth is we're going even further inside for this information, and any kind of technique or modality that's going to assist us in getting plugged into ourselves in that way, I find is incredibly valuable, and I feel like it will be more appreciated and sought after as we go. The more I think we do stuff like this to bring awareness to the benefits.
Exactly.
And how it's different, you know, going and having an experience where you don't really know and you have a lot of unknowns. It can be a bit scary, but again, the reason why I am so excited about doing this special guest week is to give you all a taste of the experience, the practitioners, and so you can go in without feeling so blind and without feeling like there are so many unknowns.
Exactly.
But to be willing to be brave and courageous to do it. Because it's really, I mean, not that you have to do any of these sessions or have a session with any one person to get to the next place. That's not what I'm saying. But especially if you've been feeling the nudge to reach outside into the community and get support outside of yourself, but haven't, I would hope this is giving you the boost, giving you the courage to step outside.
And I don't believe there's any one magic modality that's going to change your life and everything's going to be perfect for the rest of your life.
I agree.
You can have an amazing insight from a Reiki session or a reading or just meditating, you know.
It's so true.
All our answers are within us. I instead of always looking out, you can look for help for someone and get their guidance, but Dolores Cannon, what I love about her technique, it's different than the traditional, let's just go to your past life. You don't always go to a past life. You are regressed, and I've had people only go to present life, childhood experiences. You will be shown what you're supposed to see. You'll be taken where you're supposed to go. And what's different about her technique, it takes you in a very, very deep level. And after we've reviewed whatever it is you're going to see, in advance I have people bring in a list of usually about 10 questions, anything they want to know in their life. And we access we call it the subconscious. I call it your higher self.
Okay.
And by then you're in such a deep state that your critical mind should be, for the most part, out of the way. There's a part of you might be somewhat aware, but you're able to access that part of you that's eternal, that knows everything about you. A lot of times it's that part of you that you don't want to listen to, or you know, has the answers. Maybe you're unhappy in your job or relationship and you're scared to leave, but there's that part of you just knows that your instinct, like really what's best for you. And you might not always want to hear what comes
I know,
through.
because I was just, as you were saying that, I was like, well, that is, I think, our challenge for each one of us is to go beyond what our logical mind might think of the guidance, because oftentimes that's where we way overthink it, and then it becomes muddled. It loses its purity, it loses its, the stream of consciousness that it's really tuning us to very, very deep from within. And the only way, at least from how I have seen it in my own practice, is to keep working at it consistently and to find these different, I call it hacks around,
exactly.
you know, so we can see how it feels to be in these other states of consciousness and awareness. And that also helps us know they exist.
Yes.
It opens our mind, it opens our energy field, and it allows us to continue that journey of expansion.
Right, exactly.
And I feel like it's like one thing leads to the next, and we don't really know how it all goes. And I think that that's good. We shouldn't, you know, that would take the fun out of it if we knew everything. But there is still something to taking our heart guidance one step at a time,
Yeah.
being in that flow, being in that step of faith and that trust with the universe. And I see in my own life, one step of faith leads to the next step of faith.
I always call it baby steps.
Yes, yes.
And
Yeah.
sometimes you might spend your whole adult life just recovering from your childhood, you know, or a big part of your life. But it's all, you have to see it as lessons, soul lessons. So what I wanted to say also about accessing the higher self is, it's been interesting because sometimes their voice will be totally different, or they're very commanding, or she knows what she's supposed to be doing, or like sometimes it'll lecture the person. And so you didn't have that happen.
Oh yeah.
It's very, a lot of times it's very authoritarian, and they speak in a completely different way. And I've had people after sessions just amazed. They'll say, I just felt like I was over here observing this stream of knowledge, this wisdom about me and my life, that, you know, all these answers. And the thing is, after a session, it makes it easier for you. You learn on your own how to access that. So if it's okay, I wanted to go into Edgar Casey.
Yes, please.
So,
please share.
another-
Patty's a wealth of information and knowledge, and
Yeah,
so I'm excited.
always reading, so I probably annoy people with all the things I've learned, but
Hey, it's good. Knowledge is power, and knowledge is like, I feel like, can make the best choices for ourselves
yes.
and empower ourselves from those places when we are working from a good knowledge base, from a solid foundation of.
And a lot of them have their own techniques, but in the end, it's all the same result. You know, just going at it in different ways, or whatever works for you. Edgar Casey was the sleeping prophet. Most people know that he would go into a trance and be able, even if he wasn't with the person, diagnose their illnesses, emotional
He was
issues,
incredible with his abilities.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was a devout Christian, and he had read the Bible several times, and he kind of had wasn't really happy with the fact that some of his readings included past lives. A lot of them actually had to do with a person's past lives. I remember one
That's fascinating.
person,
and I'm sure that brought him, you know.
he was in such conflict,
Yeah.
and his family was too. But he didn't stop the work, but they finally were able to make peace with it and realize it could coexist. That, I believe, could coexist with Christianity. And you saw, and so you don't even have to believe in this. But Dolores Cannon didn't believe in it. Brian Weiss at first. I'm sure the people they worked with, you know, for it to happen, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that's part of the step of faith we were talking about too. That was their step of faith, being able to have these experiences outside of their belief system, outside of what they knew to be true until they were having it, and having to roll with it, integrate it, and I feel like that's for all of us. There's probably stuff happening to all of us that's sort of like getting us to rethink things, and that's part of being an adult. That's part of using our internal guidance system, being connected, and why it is so important to fine-tune and energize these connections, because it makes that process easier, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's ever easy or without its challenges, but it definitely, but it definitely can be. It doesn't have to be as hard as we make it. And so, please continue. I'm sorry.
So, how much time do we have?
We are doing. We're good. We can maybe go another like 5 minutes, then we'll go into the card reading of the day.
Okay.
Do a quick meditation, then we'll wrap it up with you being able to share what other therapies you offer.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to briefly say that my story is another reason that I wanted to do this for myself, to have sessions. And Hans King was a famous psychic that came through here once, and I had I was basically rejected by my birth family and eventually abandoned. And I just thought my childhood was so extreme, and I could never make sense of, why weren't my friends going through this? And then I thought I was flawed. I thought it was me and not them. And so I carried that into adulthood and attracted people that reinforce it, because it all goes back to your belief system.
That's true.
So I saw these past lives where I was dehumanized, just as in this lifetime when I was young. And I'm not speaking from a victim perspective.
I understand you're sharing.
I see myself as a survivor. I think if you speak from a victim perspective, you stay in that victim state.
Yeah.
But So I saw a lifetime as a leper, where as a boy in a cave, I was a leper with my mom, and it was so vivid to me, and it was so horrifying.
I almost feel like I can see that. From,
it was horrible, so I could see family members like leaving food and running, and so I eventually died in that. I saw a lifetime where I was on a wagon train. I was a woman, and all I saw in that entire life was the back of my husband's head. He never acknowledged me in the entire lifetime. And when I died, I was so happy to die.
You're like, "Woo, that's over." I know it's sad to think, but I mean, but wow.
I wasn't seeing it. It all went back to not having a voice and just being rejected just for who you are, and nothing about whether you're good or
just snap judgments. And the social, sounds like social belief systems of the time, or like the social understandings of the time. And then you being on the fringe of that for whatever reason caused you to have such a extreme experience.
Right, and then the last one that made the biggest impression was I saw myself as a black man, and I saw the Civil War. I saw President Lincoln. I was standing by the side of a stage, and I remember thinking, wow, he was so tall and thin. And later I saw pictures of, it was the same of him from the side, and I had never... See, a lot of times later I'll find things that I saw in a regression. I'm like, wow, I've never seen that before. So I was eventually killed in that life. But I remember walking through the crowd, and all these white people were just stepping away from me because I was filthy. I smelled, and and I was eventually killed for being black. And so just... really, the thing is the lesson, and if you keep repeating it, even in this life, if you keep repeating it until you, like for me, it was stopping rejecting myself and, believing that I am worthy, and whatever those people did to me, it's about them, it's not about me. And so it's really, but it's still ongoing work, the inner belief that you've had your whole life can take time to, it's a daily, takes mindfulness and awareness of, when you go back into those old patterns.
Yeah. So. And to be able to know that, I'm so glad you said that, because in this work, oftentimes we can feel like we're circling back around and we're like, oh no, here we go again, we're having this experience, and it's really important how we talk about it.
But you will go back, because you will have that come up again. And to test you.
Exactly. And this is why how we talk about it is so important. So if we're using words like, this always happens, or I'm never going to get where I'm going to go, or I'm stupid, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, exactly. We're going to keep bringing in that lower vibration cycle versus tuning into that higher vibration cycle where we do know, where there is a flow. And no, it doesn't mean that it's all roses and... sunshine and rainbows all the time, but But there is something to facing ourselves, to facing these challenging aspects of our childhood, of our past.
Yeah, and loving yourself. Exactly. And I just have to read the same by Brene Brown. It said, if you walk through the world looking for evidence that you don't belong or you're not enough, you will always find it. But our worth and belonging are not negotiated with other people. We carry those inside of our hearts. So it all goes back to, just believing in your own self-worth. And I know that kind of got off of the past life regression, but that was my path. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that so much. And
I'm glad I was able to. And on my website, I have a blog, and I've written a lot more about what I went through. Okay. Just so. If anyone else has had family issues, I think it would really help.
Well, I really appreciate you and your vulnerability and your courage to share, because I know that is not easy in this format, and it's not always easy when we're one-on-one with each other. So I really appreciate your willingness to do that.
I got past my fear, and just, if I could just help one person, that's all, because it's all a domino effect.
It's true.
What is holding it in? I've learned so much. I want to, you want to do something with what you've learned to make the world a better place.
True that. I agree. I agree with you on that one. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go into the card reading of the day. We're going to have a quick meditation here, guided meditation, and then we will wrap up the show giving Patti an opportunity to also talk about some of the other modalities and other kinds of sessions and therapies that she also offers. And then we'll see if there's any questions. that come up. You can type those in now and we'll get back to them once we're at that part of the show. And so if you would be so kind to help me pick the card of the day, I would appreciate that.
What?
I don't drop them all.
Maybe that was the one.
I know. Sometimes that's how it works too. And have you please pick any card?
Okay.
Nice.
I hope it's a good one.
It is. Sister's Healing.
Oh,
this is a good
awesome.
one. Yeah,
That's like the perfect card.
Sister's Healing. Yes, it is the perfect card. So I'm going to get kind of close. And don't forget, I'll post a picture so you guys will be able to see it.
That's amazing. Of all cards to pull.
I know, right? I know, and I love the dolphin healing energy. I feel like Gaia's in this card. So Sister's Healing, yes, it can talk to that familial healing, but really more importantly, it's what we're talking about in the show, and I just feel like a little bit of goosebumps from the confirmation, but it's this whole idea that it's sharing our uniqueness, sharing authenticity, being vulnerable, sharing our stories, and not from a disempowered place, but from an empowered place, what we've learned, what we've grown into, what we've learned that we can offer as a way to offer assistance to others. And it's something else to be aware of in this whole healing process is that we're not doing healing for you. You're coming to have a session and we're creating a safe space for you to have an experience with yourself. The healing comes from within.
Dolores Cannon said 90% of the healing was from the client, and it's just we're more like tour guides.
Yes, exactly. And it's like that old adage, I like, we can lead the horse to water, but we can't make it drink. So we can lead each other to these sources, this source of energy within. We can lead people to ways to tap into it, ways to feel into it, but at the end of the day, it's up to us to engage it, to practice it, to be consistent with it, to talk with it, to engage ourself and own our own experience, own our own, all of it. We are,
in the end, we're all really responsible for our own healing. So.
Yes, absolutely. And so I feel like no accident that this is the card that was pulled, and that there is so much healing going on. So don't.
And that kind of looks like accessing the higher self, because that's split up and
I agree.
Out in higher consciousness.
I was just going to ask you what you thought. So it was so higher consciousness,
like a crown chakra type of, or and third eye.
Well, especially the way the sun energy is here at the top, right there. So let's see what else. So right now it can feel very daunting. With what's going on in the outer world, especially with the fire situation in Los Angeles, some of the world situations, the Middle East, like the capital of Israel moving. There are the tremblings of war with North Korea. There's a lot of instability, and so it can get us off track. It can get us distracted. So one of the things to remember is, even in the midst of what's going on in the outer world, remember, this is an inside job. This is happening from within us, and there's a lot of happening from within right now. And the more we can spend quiet time with ourselves, get out into nature, have deep, meaningful one-on-one conversations, seek out healers that resonate with us, that all would very much benefit each and every one of us.
Yeah, and being more in that more positive state can influence our environment too.
Exactly.
It's important to try to not get caught up in it.
Yes, exactly. The news is very good at trying to get us all in it like it's ours, but it's not. Okay, so, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
No.
All right, cool. So, Sister's Healing is the card of the day, and now we're going to get into the meditation, and I've been pulling a card for the meditation theme. So if you would please be so kind to pick one more card for me today, I would appreciate it. Awesome, thank you. Jesus.
Oh.
So
I always ask Jesus to come through in my sessions.
So that is pretty particularly synchronistic, especially since we already talked about Christianity, and of course Jesus comes up in that realm. So this is from a deck of cards that I have from, oh dear, I said her, why did her name go away? All right, I'll post the deck because I decided the name just escaped me. So Jesus came from Venus, planet of love. He was sent to Earth to carry the Christ light at a time when the energy was very low. He incarnated as an Essene and received spiritual teachings throughout his childhood and adult life. Then he underwent many initiations to prepare his energy centers to carry the vibration of unconditional love. This card reminds you that all challenging people and situations are tests to prepare you for ascension. To pass these tests, you need to respond to them with unconditional love and balance. Remember, there's only love. The affirmation is, I respond with unconditional love today. So Jesus is going to be here with us during this guided meditation. It's going to be not a really long one, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to go deep. So if you'd like to tune in and join us live, if you're sitting, please uncross your legs and arms so that way the energy can move through your body freely. You can, of course, sit easy style, or easy pose, in a yoga pose with your legs crossed on the floor. That's differently grounding your energy in a different kind of pose where the energy can still move through your body easily. So any way you want to do it, get yourself comfortable, please, and close your eyes if you'd like to join us live. And I would like you to begin to use your imagination and grow tree roots from the base of your spine and the bottoms of your feet down into the center of Mother Earth, going deeper and deeper within, going deeper and deeper within, easily going deeper and deeper within. It doesn't take long for our roots to grow into the center of the planet and to ground into the Earth's energy. The truth is we're always connected. It's just we can sometimes feel disconnected from a mental place, from a belief system kind of place. So we are reminding ourselves that we're connected. We're bringing our awareness to our connection. And so right now I'd like you to really feel the connection. And take this opportunity to extend love, gratitude, and appreciation down your roots. And wait for a response back. Mother Earth is alive, is awake, she's aware, and she loves to connect with us in this way. Beautiful. Everyone's doing a great job. Yes, beautiful. And now I would like you to bring your awareness up to your heart space, and there's a brilliant, beautiful, blazing personal sun. This is your own unique vibration, your own unique energy signature, your own God frequencies coming from the inside out. And it is shining out like a star in every direction. And I would like you to grow this starlight bigger, 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 past your physical body, past your physical bodysuit. And we're going to take it out 12 feet today, 12 feet all around us. And I would like you to notice a ruby violet light, a ruby violet ball of light coming in from the cosmos. It does fly around your body a few times, comes out right in front of you, and all of a sudden before your eyes, Master Jesus materializes. And now he is standing right in front of you, shimmering with his golden radiant light. It is almost blinding. And the fun part about this meditation, this process, is that he sees you in your radiance. He sees you in your light. And you are just as blinding in this state. So really taking this opportunity to tune into your brightness, your lightness. Taking this opportunity to let any heaviness go. You can allow that to go down your roots, down your grounding. The earth will transmute that heaviness. And we're going to take a couple moments of silence here, allowing Master Jesus to deliver any divine inspiration, any guidance, all for your highest and best good, and the highest and best good of all involved. Master Jesus is now raising his left hand and reaching out for your heart space, touching your heart, and offering a high energy transmission of unconditional love, reminding you of the unconditional love that is emanating from your heart, strengthening your connection to it, and allowing for the dissolving of any layers that you're ready to let go of in this now moment that are in between you and your unconditional love for yourself and those around you. Remember, this starts with you first. If you're waiting for anybody, make a choice to stop waiting. Make a choice to go ahead for yourself, to lead the way, to be an example. That's Jesus' message, to move with unconditional love, to move from an empowered place, from our light, from our love, from our connection, not from our disconnection, not from our misunderstandings, not from our hate. Love is all there is. Feel into the love. Jesus is now reaching out to give you a big, huge hug. You may also feel the desire to give yourself a hug in this process, to really feel that hug energy in the physical, all the way into the physical. Beautiful. Great job, everybody. I'd like you to take this opportunity to thank Jesus, thank the entire company of heaven, all the great beings of light, our Light Align teams that join us each and every day. Thank Mother Earth, Father Sky, and thank yourself for showing up, for being present, for saying yes to this experience, for saying yes to love, for saying yes to the light. And as we finish up our time here, Jesus becomes a beautiful golden, ruby, violet ball of light again and flies off into the cosmos. And now I would like you to come back into your physical body awareness, beginning to wiggle your fingers and toes, and batting your eyes open whenever you are ready. Woo!
That was beautiful. You're amazing at that.
Thank you. Well,
wow.
Let's talk about showing up.
Visual.
It's just showing up. And
I like what it said about the tests. You talked about the same situations coming up, and it goes back to exactly what this is all about.
Yes.
You know?
And it isn't from a place of punishment either. It's not like, oh, he's up there like, you did that wrong, you gotta go back and do that again. What are you doing? It's not from that place.
No, and it's not fun to go through, but, you know, we wouldn't be who we are now if we hadn't gone through all the difficult things that we have, you know.
So true. It's
but
absolutely true.
Like I said, it's important to try to help others with what you've learned.
Mm-hmm.
So, and did you want me to talk?
Well, I am. I'm just going to look and see if we have any questions here real quick before we get into that part. So, Melissa says, good morning to you both. Lots of love. And where did you purchase the meditation deck? I would love to purchase them. Melissa, I purchased it online, and I'll find the link and send it to you. I think I got them from Amazon. And good morning, Bruce. Welcome to the show. Okay, so we're going to finish up the show spending some time getting to know more about what Patti offers in the way of sessions that you can come and have experiences. And I know there are a few different ones that are already currently going on, and a new one that is underway that is being developed.
And I'm developing one for manifesting, working with your limiting beliefs, usually from childhood or society. And we all know about law of attraction. Most people that you attract if you want something, you wish for it, you can attract it. But a lot of times our limiting beliefs will stand in the way of that. Like if we want financial abundance, there's a part of you like, you don't deserve
it's
that.
still like holding it out
Right.
here, yeah.
So I want to really work with people to get to the root of those beliefs so that they can attract what, because we can have and do anything that we want. It's just getting out of our way. And even hearing that, people are like, that's not possible. But I absolutely believe, based on books I've read by Braden and others about the belief system, that we can. So that's something I want to do. I also do general hypnosis. I have a good friend who is an acupuncturist, and I'm moving my office into the Haberfeld building
that's cool.
next week. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yay.
I heard it's haunted, but whatever.
Oh,
so,
they'll be helping you out.
Bakersfield, it's haunted.
Yeah.
So we're developing hypnoacupuncture, which has really been amazing.
I'm like,
yeah, it's amazing, and you go into such a deep state after you have the needles placed in you, and then I'll do a script. And we want to work with people with weight loss because she's an expert in nutrition and herbs. She's has a lot of training. So we're going to start that after the first of the year, because we know almost everyone wants to lose weight. They have their New Year's Eve,
the resolutions that everyone comes up with. Yeah.
So that helping people stop smoking, any other issues, we want to work with that. And then with Sean, we're doing a Reiki sound healing combination. So I do Reiki, and he has all kinds of instruments, singing bowls, rattles, and we've had amazing feedback with
I've had one of those too. It was so amazing.
Yeah, he gave us a great review.
It was so amazing to have that.
He uses drumming, and the sampler, he has all these different sounds, and so he customizes it to the person that's doing the session. We're doing the session for, and some are really calm and gentle, and others are just like really intense.
A bit, more like
he burns sage, and it's been amazing. So
that's awesome. And I love that there's a variety, and I'm sure as a practitioner that's exciting for you too to
it is
always have different kinds of experiences.
Well, I call it the synergy. A synergy is two modalities together make something even better. And not to minimize any, because they're all amazing on their own, but sometimes you can have a totally different experience.
I just feel like it's like an extra pow, just because it's back to that adage of the Bible, and I'm not the one to quote the Bible very often, but just when two or more are gathered. And I feel like it's that whole idea, like when we come together, it makes it extra. And then really, when the third person, being the person having the healing, it's really like a trifecta of energy moving.
Exactly.
And so it really exponentially grows what is possible and what kind of exchange can happen.
And even as practitioners, because Dolores Cannon wants as many people to learn QHHT as possible, so I've encouraged Jay to do it. I think anyone that wants to learn Reiki or this, you definitely do it, because it only makes the world a better place, and our world definitely needs healers and healing. So
yes,
it's been a wonderful experience being in alternative healing. So
and
very rewarding.
Yeah, and I love, because I know from my own experience with that, like getting to see different clients and like getting to see some of the similarities and themes. And like the learning that I get from that, and being able to see and what I get inspired to research because of that. And I feel like that happens with you too, where it really it keeps that flow of knowledge open. Like I just don't see enlightenment. For me personally, I don't see enlightenment as we just sit and know everything.
No, because you can never know.
Yeah, there's
our
like
brains couldn't even handle everything.
I just think of all the different specialties and all the different ways of, like, all the different kinds of knowledge.
And more will come out in the future.
Yeah.
It's just one thing I love about Edgar Casey is he said, when you work as an alternative healing, you're also being healed when you work with other people.
Yes.
So it never stops. So you might feel, I'm not at the perfect place in my life to do this work, but you never reach that place where you're perfect. Only the very few reach that place.
Well, and I'd say I would even venture to say, though, even in that situation, is that even from there, they would probably think of like something else that they'd like to attain or experience, and
Exactly.
and so there's never, it's always undone, especially if we're still on planet Earth having this experience.
We're supposed to be here if we're still here.
Yeah, and we're still here. We can still keep creating. We can still keep changing it up. We could still be changeable and know more.
Exactly.
And I think that that's more about what this is about, is learning how to be present, because in our presence, we take in all the information, we sense our connection, we feel our connection, and we can move in a different flow from there. And I feel like that is more what enlightenment is to me, is being in that present state, being open, allowing the energy to flow and move, and moving from there. And it's almost like, I feel like some people can feel like, oh, that's so underwhelming, but it's actually quite amazing, because then we're in our open state,
the open aware state, like Eckhart Tolle talks about that.
And it's like, then we actually are able to go and be in the flow like none other from that space. And it's one of those things that instead
of our mind just replaying the same recordings over and over.
Yes, and keeping the same cycles coming back around.
Keep us in this horrible situation that we can't get out of. So just getting past that, getting past the mind can be a challenge, but it definitely can be done.
Absolutely, it is. Yes, and we're proof, and there's lots of proof that it is. Like, and we're, of course, work in progress is like, it isn't about. It is letting go of this idea of perfection, letting go of this idea of what we thought we were heading towards, or what we thought we were opening ourselves up to, so that we really can be open for whatever it is that shows up, and not already, again, trying to overlay like a preconceived notion of what it's about.
But a lot of times perfection, though, is something that was placed on us. Like, this is how you have to be perfect. It could be family and lineage, or society, religion.
Yeah,
so
that's true. It's tricky how it can come from different angles.
Just about going back to yourself and being true to who you are, but figuring out who you are is the challenge too.
I know, that's been one of my biggest challenges, like, who the heck am I? And what do I want?
I think most people struggle with that.
Yeah. Okay, so we are getting to the point of the show where we're going to be wrapping it up, but I want to ask you, is there anything else that you'd like to share in these final moments? Anything else that you would like to add?
There is something I wanted to add. I forgot, and this is a very big part of QHHT. Dolores' canon schedule, she was booked up for 4 years. She got so busy.
Wow.
But she had so many people that came to her, and it's like their last resort. They were dying. They had tumors and different things. People would show up with oxygen tanks and wheelchairs, and they would leave without an oxygen tank. Their tumors would disappear.
Wow.
Like, I'm not saying you're going to come to me, and it's really goes back to, is that what's supposed to happen for you? But she was also shown that a lot of souls who came here just to experience being handicapped, that the handicapped bodies are in high demand. So when you look at someone who's in that situation, I think it just, doing this work, it changes your whole perspective of what you see going on around you, and how you view the people that you've had problems with in the past. And
True that.
you just see it almost like they're all actors playing a role, So
yes, and
that's just what I wanted to add about the physical healing.
Thank you for adding that, because it's, and it's tremendous, because I've also watched some different YouTube videos and done some research with Dolores Cannon's work way back when, and remember some incredible stories of transformation and healing.
And they do believe also, I'm sorry, I keep going.
No, go ahead. No.
This, but her daughter wrote a book called Soul Speaks, and it's how our bodies, if we don't listen to our higher wisdom, we'll start having physical issues. And that's what led me into alternative healing in the first place, because I worked as a paralegal. I would want to become an attorney, and my heart couldn't handle it, and it kept saying, and I was resisting leaving. But your body, if you ignore your higher wisdom, it will let you know physically, and then you can become ill, terminally ill. So it's very important to listen. Like, the root of most illnesses is emotion.
Because I see it like as this, hey, I'm over here, you haven't been listening to me, but I'm trying to get your attention.
Yeah, exactly. Even car accidents, different things she attributes to, that higher self allowing it to happen so that you will finally listen.
Yes, exactly. Because it is oftentimes in the
so
crazy thing about it.
A lot of times the worst things that happen to us are the best things because they were for a reason. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, and you're right. And I feel like I've had significant experiences in getting to prove that to myself, and one that comes to mind is the house fire we had that destroyed everything.
Oh, right.
And I see, right now, the fires that are going on and destroying things, and how it can be very easy to be caught up in the victim part of I've lost everything, and oh my God, what does this mean? And going into the drama of it all. And there is a part of that, because it's like there is a loss and a grieving process, because all your stuff in your life that you knew it to be is now changed, and it's changed in an instant.
Everything that you're attached to being
exactly.
just a certain way.
So it's like there is something to having to process through that, but then there is the phase of, okay, now it's, okay, so this is what it is. We can't change it. It's burned. It's gone. So now what do we got to do to keep moving on? Because the earth keeps spinning, we keep spinning, life keeps going.
Right.
So how can we continue to go? And I see it, as long as we stay in that energy, then we are staying in our empowered self, and we can see the good in it. Like for me, I saw how it cleared away, it cleared out family stuff. When we had our fire, it literally got things moving and grooving in our family that they might not have otherwise gotten moved and grooved. And not that it had to happen through the fire, but apparently the fire was the best way in which it could all work. And through the rebuild process, I empowered myself, having to deal with the construction workers and the insurance companies and attorneys, and having to really stand up for myself. And it was more helping my mom, but it was still providing the space for me to become more empowered.
And now you have a greater understanding of what all of those other people are going through.
Yes, it's true. Yes, it's true. And a different kind of sense of compassion, and a different space I can hold, right. For sure. So I believe Summer has a comment. It says, anyone else keep seeing something flittering across the camera screen, or is it just me? It might, and I haven't seen it, but it's kind of, the camera's not super close, so
maybe it's that Jesus or...
Exactly, I know, right? So we'll have to, I'm gonna watch it back. I'll let you know if I see it.
I wonder if it's in front of us or behind us.
I know. So where do you see it flying around? I'm curious. And Melissa says yes. So yeah, this is a tremendous time we're in, and I appreciate the work that you do, and that you say yes.
And I appreciate you allowing me to speak about it. I could talk. I feel like I've only talked about 10% of what I could share, but if anyone has any questions, there's an amazing video by Brian Weiss I send to people. It's an online past life regression. You could just do at home. So
awesome.
I always recommend doing that. It's not as intense as what I do. There's no question and answer one-on-one, but still just something to have you have the experience.
It's like a warm-up.
You can be amazed at what you see.
Yeah. So. Well, and it's great to have some home things that we can try out before we take it to the next level. So I'm excited about that. And I will be trying it out myself. Summer says, in front of you guys. Oh, interesting. So in front of us. Well, and I did feel Jesus when he came in, like it was in front of us. So fascinating. I'm gonna watch it back and see what.
Sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, I feel like it is. But thank you for saying that, Summer, and bringing that to our attention. I'm gonna see if it shows up in the archives when I see the playback. Is there? We are at 12 already. It's like it goes by so fast.
It does.
But we'll definitely maybe have an opportunity to do this again and go deeper into some of the information. But again, don't hesitate to reach out with comments, questions. Patti's information is already listed on my page. I'll be listing it again in the comments. So that way you'll have an easy time reaching her to be able to ask her any questions, as well as to set up any sessions that you would like to arrange with her. So thank you so much. This has been such a fantastic week, and so awesome to be able to...
And I'm sad you're moving. I'm just getting to know you.
I know, right? Well,
so you have to come back and visit.
Yes. I won't be too far, and I feel like Bakersfield has been a second home to me, and I've lived about half my life here and half my life in LA, back and forth.
Right.
And
that's
it just
very
kind of feels like that's going to continue in some level, and I definitely won't be leaving Bakersfield forever, so I'll be around.
Probably not.
Yes. Thank you again, Patti, so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And I'm glad that we were able to work through the technical difficulties and make it work. So
you can always use that other person's phone, I guess.
So so what we ended up having to do is I logged on through Patti's phone and it works. So it was just my phone was having trouble this morning. So thank you for your flexibility and your ingenuity.
Oh.
Yes. All right, well, we'll be back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Sean Tidwell is going to be coming on tomorrow, and as the special guest, he is going to be doing a sound bath for us, so as part of the meditation part of the show, and he'll also be helping out with a card reading of the day, and so forth, so I'm super excited about that. That's going to be wrapping up the special guest week, although I feel like there might be some special guests next week before we end up moving to Los Angeles. But we'll see how that all comes together. But in the meantime, I'm surrounding everybody with a big huge hug of love. Thank you all for tuning in and joining in live. Thank you everybody that tuned in the archives. We'll be back here tomorrow at 11. And again, don't hesitate to comment in and ask questions. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.